What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some very, very interesting news. As former unified heavyweight world champion Mexican superstar boxer Andy Ruiz Jr., Andy Destroyer Ruiz Jr., who is 32 years of age, 34 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 22 big wins by way of knockout, standing 6'2" with a 74-inch arm reach. He last fought May of this year when he took on Mexican superstar title contender and journeyman Chris Arreola, which he got a unanimous decision in a hard-fought fight after Andy Ruiz Jr. was dropped and hurt badly a few times in that fight. He weathered the storm and got the unanimous decision victory. That was coming off of a 2-year layoff after he lost his titles to two-time unified heavyweight world champion British superstar boxer Anthony Joshua back in December of 2019. Now, keep in mind, June of 2019, he had one of the biggest upsets in the history of the sport of boxing when he dropped Anthony Joshua 4 times, stopped him in the 7th round in Anthony Joshua's debut as a heavyweight professional at Madison Square Garden in New York, okay? To become the first, he created history, became the first Mexican heavyweight world champion, and he did so in dramatic fashion. With that said, Andy Ruiz, he had hip surgery, knee surgery, and Andy Ruiz is back in the gym. And Andy Ruiz, interestingly enough, he calls out a guy, an Olympic bronze medalist, former WBC American heavyweight world champion superstar boxer Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder for a showdown, a get-back showdown. He says that would put both of us back in title contention. Deontay Wilder, 42 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 41 big wins by way of knockout, 36 years of age, stands 6'7" with a 83-inch arm reach, okay? So Andy Ruiz, he says Deontay Wilder coming off of his highly anticipated trilogy match with undefeated 2-time British heavyweight world champion superstar boxer Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, who's viewed as the best heavyweight in the world after that fight. Okay, that took place October of this year. With that said, Deontay Wilder is placed on medical suspension. He can't fight and can't participate in any contact drills until at least April, okay? So with that said, you know, Andy Ruiz, he's saying that would be the perfect fight for both of us to get back in title contention and make a name for ourselves, okay? Andy Ruiz, that means Andy Ruiz will have a 5-inch height disadvantage, and he's going to have nearly a 10-inch arm reach disadvantage, okay? But that never stopped Andy Ruiz from being successful, obviously. As Anthony Joshua is 6'6", he had a 4-inch height advantage. He had an 82-inch arm reach. He has an 8-inch arm advantage, and we saw how that played out. And even in the second fight, Anthony Joshua was hesitant to engage with Andy Ruiz, who has very, very fast hands. Now, he doesn't have the fastest feet, but he does have very fast hands. He puts combinations together very well, and he has power. But he's shown that, you know, with his chin, Anthony Joshua did drop him in the first fight, and so did Chris Arreola. So imagine if Deontay Wilder hits him. But nonetheless, Deontay Wilder is recently placed in. This comes at an interesting time because, like I stated, Deontay Wilder has been placed at number 5 in the World Boxing Association, better known as WBA, sanction, okay, which puts him right in line to fight their regular champion, who has agreed now to face Deontay Wilder, stated that would be a great fight for him, and he started training, and he says, let's see how this plays out, that being undefeated American star boxer Trevor Bryant, who's 21 wins, no losses, no draws, 15 wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, stands 6'4" with a 79-inch arm reach, okay? Trevor Bryant was last in the ring January this year when he defeated and stopped Bermane Stiverne, a rival of Deontay Wilder, okay? And so with that said, you know, Trevor Bryant, he had this to say on his social media. He stated that he would love the opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder, and he stated, let's make it happen, okay? So he's more than willing and more than open to accepting a fight between himself and Deontay Wilder, as Trevor Bryant, at this stage of his career, is definitely looking for a big fight. And what bigger fight for Trevor Bryant than to fight Deontay Wilder, okay? So it's interesting at this point in time that, you know, you would get Andy Ruiz calling out Deontay Wilder trying to make a fight. Now, namesake wise, it's a bigger fight for Deontay Wilder to fight Trevor Bryant for sure. Because Andy Ruiz Jr. Is a bigger name than Trevor Bryant for sure. He's a much bigger star. So star power wise, Andy Ruiz is saying this is a much bigger fight, and it puts us back in the spotlight. Well, Deontay Wilder is. I want to say his star power grew since the Tyson Fury fight. It was a instant classic between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in the title shot and the title showdown, where you had Tyson Fury, hit the drop Deontay Wilder twice in the third round, and then you had Deontay Wilder drop Tyson Fury twice in the fourth round, and then ultimately you had Tyson Fury knock out Deontay Wilder in the 11th round. But with that said, it was an action-packed fight and instant classic. Okay, many people were raving about this fight. So Deontay Wilder's star status probably went through the roof. But Deontay Wilder going the route of fighting Trevor Bryant puts him back in contention of where he wants to be, and he wants to become a 2-time heavyweight world champion. He wants to ultimately become undisputed. So he fights and beats Trevor Bryant. He wins the WBA regular title. And he becomes WBA regular champion. He has another big fight with possibly Michael Hunter or Daniel Dubois, British heavyweight superstar title contender, who's number 1 in the WBA ranking system. Okay, so he fights Trevor Bryant, beats Trevor Bryant. That's the biggest payday, biggest fight of Trevor Bryant's career. He's obviously going to take it serious, as he's already said that he started training right now. And he's more than open to a fight between himself and Deontay Wilder. Okay, so he knocks out and beats Trevor Bryant. Daniel Dubois is a huge fight for Deontay Wilder. Let's say he fights Daniel Dubois in the UK. Is even bigger, okay, because him versus Daniel Dubois is bigger than him versus Daniel Dubois in the States, in the UK, okay? So let's say that was to take place, okay? And they already done business because Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotion CEO, legendary UK, United Kingdom promoter, has already done business with Deontay Wilder multiple times. So, Frank Warren, let's say Frank Warren puts, Daniel Dubois in line to fight, Deontay Wilder. That's a great fight for Deontay Wilder. And then he gets the winner, obviously, at that point in time. Tyson Fury, he has to fight WBC mandatory challenger in British heavyweight superstar title contender Dillian Whyte. That looks like that's going to take place in March. Okay, so then obviously from that point forward, there's another highly anticipated rematch that's going to take place between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. Okay, Olympic gold medalist, former undisputed cruiserweight turned heavyweight unified world champion, and as a southpaw. They're going into a highly anticipated rematch. Look like that's going to take place in about April, okay? And then the winner of that fight, obviously, is going to want to fight Tyson Fury for undisputed. So that means Deontay Wilder, before he gets the opportunity to fight for the titles or makes himself the mandatory, he's already number 1 in the WBC rankings, okay? So he's already number 1 in 1 rankings. If he fights and beats Trevor Bryant, that puts him number 1 in 2 separate ranking systems, WBC and the WBA, puts him in line to fight for the world title. So the winner of Tyson Fury versus the winner Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk, because I expect Tyson Fury to beat Dillian Whyte, would fight the winner. Then Deontay Wilder would put himself in position, and more than likely at that point, will we see a 4th fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder? Because I expect Tyson Fury to run the field, okay? I don't think that Oleksandr Usyk or Anthony Joshua or Dillian Whyte can beat Tyson Fury. But Tyson Fury seems to be on the verge of stepping away from the sport of boxing. He may vacate the titles, okay? And if he does so, then that puts Deontay Wilder in position to fight for the mandatory challenge spot. Now you can also look at it from this standpoint, as he's already the number 1 in the WBC. So fighting Andy Ruiz just bolsters his star power. It's a pay-per-view fight. It's a mega showdown. And he's already in position to be the WBC mandatory challenger. But what better way than give yourself more than one option, making yourself the WBA and the WBC mandatory challenger? Okay, you're cornering the market, so it just makes sense. Now, a fight between Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder would be an enormous fight for sure. Okay, but I just think that the route that Deontay Wilder is looking to put himself to show himself the opportunity at the world title being a mandatory in 2 separate major sanction bodies, opposed to just being in one and being able to be maneuvered around, it makes sense for him to go the route of fighting, for that, WBA title against Trevor Bryant, and that makes him a 2-time world champion as well. Okay, beating Trevor Bryant, because Trevor Bryant is the WBA regular champion. So Deontay Wilder, fights and beats Trevor Bryant for the WBA title. Well, that puts him, makes him a 2-time heavyweight champion, and he officially will become the champion soon thereafter. And in the WBA ranking system, in the heavyweights, Alexander Usyk is obviously number 1. Trevor Bryant is the regular champion. Andy Ruiz is at number 8 in that ranking system. Okay, Deontay Wilder is at number 5. Okay, so he's moved up the ladder, and now Andy Ruiz is also, he is number 2 in the WBC rankings. Okay, so that makes sense. So Andy Ruiz is looking to place himself at number 1 in the WBC rankings, but Deontay Wilder's ahead of him. He's number 10 in the IBF ranking system. Deontay Wilder is not ranked in the top 10 in the IBF. And Andy Ruiz is ranked, let's see, he's ranked number 3 in the WBO. Okay, so he's high on the list, but he's not in that position where he's cemented himself a opportunity at a world title, except for the WBC's number 2. Okay, so makes sense for Andy Ruiz to lobby for these fights, but I just think it would be smarter for Deontay Wilder to go the route of fighting Trevor Bryant and certify himself as the WBA mandatory and the WBC mandatory challenger. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Andy Ruiz, he did state, one more thing, Andy Ruiz, he did state that he was searching for a fight with Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder was still a champion, but obviously the rematch clause with him and Anthony Joshua stood in the way, and he was also lobbying for a fight with Deontay Wilder when Tyson Fury seemingly was attempting to walk away from the trilogy match. He was in play to fight Deontay Wilder if Tyson Fury, the whole arbitration and mediation didn't go in his way. He would have fought Deontay Wilder then. So he's let it be known that he's been in contention to fight Deontay Wilder. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.